and welcome to the Claret Blue podcast. My name is Dan Rowlinson. I'm joined by Matt Kendrick and a special guest. He will reveal his identity in a second. What is this nonsense about, Matt Kendrick?
It's reveal his identity, brilliant. It's 5 years since the world was thrown into turmoil.
Yes.
It's 5 years since COVID and the world went into lockdown.
Even I don't know who that is yet.
The world went into lockdown, and obviously our podcast was only just up and running. It was a very different vibe for Aston Villa, very different vibe for the Claret Blue podcast. So we wanted to just reflect on that, really, because it was such a bizarre, surreal set of circumstances. Me and you lived it from a remote podcast point of view, but the man, the masked journalist who we're about to reveal, obviously was one of the privileged few who was able to be there in the flesh. So shall we reveal it? Take it off. Take it off. Take it off.
Who is it under there? Oh,
I'm back.
It was actually Preece this whole time. I can't believe it. How you doing, Ash?
Sound good to see you, lads.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has, really, yeah. It'll be 2 years this summer since I waved Villa off to their Europa Conference League then. I said, and they beat Brighton at home, and that was my last game. And I've been watching as a fan ever since. I've been down a few times this season as well, so enjoying being a fan again. Nice to be back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about COVID. We're not going to do the politics and the obviously we're joking about it. It wasn't a good time, but we're going to look at the football side of things. Before we get into that, though, it's almost 2 years since we uploaded the video called Leaving the Halt End. No, sorry. Leaving the Press Box for the Halt End, your farewell video.
Yeah.
How's that time been for you the last couple of years?
Yeah, I remember you called me for that one in the Hockley Social Club, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Couple of years. I've had another child since then, little Grayson, as in Simon. So he's not Simon Grayson.
Is it actually?
But his name's Grayson.
He's not named after Simon Grayson.
No, we like the name, so that's how it's spelled. He's 6 months old. Had some dad guilt at the weekend, went to the park. Grayson's there, 6 month old with the missus. I'm playing football with Penny, who's 5 now. Booted the ball in the air. I'm looking at the ball. It's gone straight to Grayson on his head. He's only 6 months old. It's a proper dad guilt, but he headed on the way like a prime Paul McGrath. But he's okay, thankfully. So 2 kids now.
Any chance he can play centre back?
Well, judging by his head out, he's quite good.
I've got some notes of that time and some of the fixtures and stuff, but even just starting the podcast for us at that time, obviously the lockdown came in the March of 2020. Our first podcast episode was the end of November. We'd only been going for 4 months, and obviously everything changed, the way we work changed. You're just saying then about Penny being 5. I remember sitting in the old office talking about leading up to Christmas and stuff, and then you going on leave for the birth of your daughter who's now 5. I mean, where has the time gone? In some ways it feels 5 minutes ago, and otherwise it feels 10 years. It's such a strange thing, isn't it?
She was born the night Wesley wrapped it up for a 5-0 win. I was in the press box, wasn't I? I had 80 missed calls. Missus gone into labour. About 80 missed calls. Because the missus weren't due for another month. And Penny was born at the 1:45 in the morning after Villa beat Liverpool's kids 5-0. In the Carabao Cup, and Wesley just scored, and what a time! And that's 5
years ago. It's mad, isn't it?
That is crazy.
I believe the podcast is still going all these years later.
Well, I mean, that was one of the first considerations. Like, can we afford to keep Dan Rowlinson on through this? I think you could have had the world's longest furlough. I mean, I never even knew what the word furlough meant before.
I think we were key workers, weren't we, at that point? I'm sure I had a key worker letter, which was absolutely bizarre for the waffle we were up to. Yeah. From a work perspective, I'll come to you, Matt. Obviously, we're going to talk about going to the football and stuff as well. What was that like for you from a work perspective? Because I know your job's very different, but obviously all being thrust into that work from home life. And it was kind of like, I don't know whether you remember, the initial lockdown, I think it was going to be 2 or 3 weeks. And there was some kind of like, everyone will have a 2-week holiday and we'll all go back and everything will be fine after that. And obviously that's not what happened. Yeah,
it just became, it's really weird. And I think there's good things that have come out of it in terms of remote working, because I think it does allow people, depending what industry you're in, if you're a fireman, you probably can't work from home, and you probably still got to go in and do your shift. But I think it's good in the sense that it gives you that flexibility. I think from a journalist point of view, I'm not sure that the old drop the dead donkey smoky newsrooms where you've got a news editor who slam you up the wall. Probably do remember some of that, but I'm not sure that was ever a thing anyway. Certainly in my era. But I think it's really difficult when you're trying to learn an industry and you're stuck in your own bedroom and you've got to almost ask permission to speak to somebody rather than wandering over.
Yeah.
Every time you want to speak to somebody now, you've got to if you're working remotely, you've got to put a call in or an invite, and it seems a bit more formal rather than being able to absorb things from people. So I think that was strange. I think specifically talking about Aston Villa and what we did with the podcast, you came in and we brought you in with this grand idea. You know, what do we call you? The Quentin Tarantino, do we? Call you something like that. Quentin Alzo in near enough. But you got all these. We brought you in because we wanted your high production methods to give an extra bit of sheen and a bit of sparkle.
5 years later, here we are.
Yeah, well,
finally got there.
Eventually, we bought the plant. So I think that was the weird thing, having to convince you, Dan, BBC, Sky, everybody's doing things by Zoom or by doing things by video call. You're just gonna have to chill out, chill out a little bit, and drop your standards slightly.
I mean, the way we did the podcast, even originally in the office, and Ash, we are going to get to the football in a minute, I promise. We did one episode a week when we first launched. If you remember, every Monday we'd go into the studio and do it in person. Yep. These mics, in fact, and sit there and talk about whatever happened at the weekend. And now we got Chelsea on Saturday. Like, we'll see you next week. We won't do anything like that now. It's so strange. But when we went into that lockdown, you didn't have any kit, so you didn't appear on the podcast for a few months at least. Anyway. James Rushton was working with us then, and he had some of his own kit, so he'd loop in on a few of them. But you and me took one of these mics home each, a camera each, and we would film each other, film ourselves in our own houses, and we'd talk to each other on the phone. We couldn't even see each other. So like you wouldn't even know when to like interject or anything, because you were worried, like, is he still going to say something else? Like, that's so weird. And you would drive to my mum and dad's house, I was still living there at the time, with a memory card, like, after a match, and be like, right, edit this together. You wouldn't say that. Edit the two things together, and then we post something like the day after a game. Like, and that was like better than what we were doing before. When you look at how we do things now, going live all the time and doing things on StreamYard, the service that we use, that kind of period for COVID could have been the end of the podcast in some ways, but in others it was the start of us doing things very differently.
Yeah, the big thing was, and I don't know how many kind of Ring doorbells or CCTV cameras there are on lampposts down your street, but I'd be sticking that memory card in a little envelope.
Did you used to put it under the car
under
tyre?
The back tyre of your dad's car or whatever, or the van on the drive. And we must have looked like kind of Hales Owens, kind of most amateurish drug dealers, haven't we? But yeah, it's weird, isn't it, the lengths that you go to. But
because we were trying to keep that standard of using proper equipment and stuff, and then, like you say, when it went on longer than the initial 3 weeks, and the likes of BBC and Sky Sports were getting Jamie Carragher or whoever on a Skype call with his AirPods in, it was kind of like, all right, well, if they're doing that, we can also kind of jump on that as well. The first episode that we did after the lockdown, I think it was episode number 24. For some reason, we used to number them back then. I don't know why. Titled "How Will Coronavirus Affect Aston Villa?" And I think that was still in the office. That one, it was all about to kick off, but we were still working in the office. Was there any kind of like expectation that it? I'm not asking you, but like, from a scientific point of view, what did you think about the virus?
It's Professor Chris Whitty here, is it?
Next slide, please.
There was no foresight from any of us that was like, this will be out for the whole season next year as well. It was kind of like maybe a few weeks. We'll see what happens with Villa. There was all the talk about like null and void in the league, and Villa would be relegated because they were in the bottom three at that stage. It's just bizarre, wasn't it?
Yeah, the expectation was a couple of weeks to a month or something like that. It'll blow over, kind of thing. Yeah. No one expected the sheer seriousness of what was the pandemic. So it was an uncertain time, but we didn't take it as serious. Oh, it'd be okay. A month off or something, and we'll go again. But for it to turn out the way it did was pretty incredible. And Project Restart come along and just bringing back loads of memories now. And for the fans at home, and it was a pretty crazy time. When a Villa next playing, and people were like, "What's going on here?" And for Villa to be the people, for the lives of people, it was a very serious issue. And
were we the first game back as well in the Premier League?
Yeah, Sheffield United, I think, at home.
It was the first game, because there was that Dortmund game, wasn't there? That like the whole world watched as one of the first football games back. And then I'm sure Villa Sheffield United was the first Premier League game back. We're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but did you think? Obviously, we'll never know. If the season just carried on as normal, we'd have been relegated that year, wouldn't we? I think. It was looking bleak at Leicester, wasn't it? The game
Leicester,
before the stop.
Leicester was a 4-0 when the old
Pepe Reina
went walkabouts and stuff like that. I remember we all went down to Wembley for the the League Cup final against Man City, and there must have been, I don't know what Wembley holds, there must have been 80,000 or 90,000 people in there. And people were, I remember going down on the coach, people were like, oh, don't stand too close to me, you'll get this coronavirus. As if it was like, it's a myth, don't worry, it won't come and get us. And then you think, and then there's a lot of fuss, wasn't there? Because Cheltenham came soon. There were like loads of people at Cheltenham. People are still congregating in big groups. We'll be fine. But all of a sudden, it arrived on our doorstep. And then when that first lockdown was announced, you're like, "What? We're not allowed? We wouldn't
be able to sit this close to each other 5 years ago."
Yeah, you've got to kind of. I've got to go and exercise once a day when I leave the house. Nah, I'm all right. I'll stay. I'll stay in. But I know we're going to talk specifically about the football, but back then it was, it was like glorious spring, wasn't it? It was like the sunniest.
Yeah, it was great
the sunniest weather. We'd be out banging our saucepans for the NHS on a Thursday. I was chatting to you about it the other day. I don't think I spoke to my neighbours before or since. But on Thursday night, bang your, what was it? Just kind of clap for the nurses or whatever, was it?
Clap for the NHS.
But
even that was like a one-upmanship thing, wasn't it? Of like, you just got a little ripple, and then weeks later, Susan down the road's got a saucepan spanking them as well.
Oh, that's it. And then you got
I've got to do something better.
Somebody brings a wok, and then somebody turns up with a steel drum, and But because your social interaction, the actual social contact was contact was so limited, just being able to kind of shout over the next door's fence and see how they were was it's just bizarre times.
It was. Is that when you got into running, Ash?
It was actually.
Like most people.
It was, yeah. Well, like most people, what else are you going to do? So I used to do a little 5K loop.
Yeah.
Just to tick over the time and just do something. And here I am. I'm running a marathon next month. So since COVID, I started running.
What's the date for that?
April 27th.
Okay.
Same day as the London one, but I'm doing mine in Stratford. So that could be semi-final weekend, I think, if we beat Preston, obviously.
Ooh.
So I'm doing one in Stratford. So.
You're doing a fundraiser, aren't you?
Fundraiser, yeah, for the QA, because my mum gave my brother Harvey her kidney because he had kidney failure.
Oh, right.
She had to come back from Australia. It's when the World Cup was on. When he flew back the day Argentina won the World Cup.
Right, okay.
In Qatar, because his kidney's packed in. And then, when was it now? Last October, my mum gave Harvey her kidney. And they're both right as rain now, so I'm over $3,000 already for him. So
oh wow,
yeah. So
fair play.
Link in bio, please, Dan.
Will do. Yeah,
chuck us a couple of quid in.
He's a pro, and I was about to say it anyway, but he's done it anyway. Yeah.
You know what? And this is I'm taking Ash's fundraising seriously, but it reminds me of one of the videos that we did during COVID, and we got Barry Bannon on. He was one of the ones that we did during lockdown. Got him over a Zoom call or StreamYard or whatever it was. And he was telling the story of his upbringing, and he said, when I was a kid, I was born prematurely, I wasn't very well. I had to have one of my livers removed.
Oh, yes. Wow, I totally forgot about that.
I just thought it was funny. How many livers does he think he started with, bless him?
Did he mean kidney? Must have done.
I don't know, but it just made me, I don't think I queried it at the time.
So, I mean, actually, that leads us quite nicely into that early stage of the podcast, that we were doing things like Not in the Pub quiz with James Rushton, one of my favourites. I want to bring that back, by the way. We did things like the World Cup of crap Villa players, putting them against each other in a knockout style tournament. But then we did some of those interviews as well. And to be fair, one of your first kind of reappearances, if you like, was Gabby.
Gabby, yeah.
Which we'll come to in a sec. Our first one was Martin Larsson. We did it on Skype. Can you believe that?
Well, Skype, I heard something on the radio the other day. Skype's
shutting down now,
ceasing to be, isn't it? Yeah. I think.
That's how out of touch we were. We thought, how do we do this from home? We use Skype for Martin Larsson. I think we progressed to Zoom for Barry Bannon and some of the others, and then we got to StreamYard later down the line, which is what we still use today.
I remember Gabby just walking around his house on his phone.
He's just sat there on his phone, just like
chilling
this,
out, and
just like every couple of minutes, just like moving his arm around and being all over the place. And again, standards were just that's what it was at the time.
And he wasn't doing much media at the time at all.
No, it was before his TalkSport days, wasn't it?
And then now look at him just every morning.
Everywhere, yeah. But again, that allowed us to just do different things, and we kind of took advantage of. Well, they're not doing anything, so we can grab them for an hour to talk about their careers and stuff.
The Martin Larsson one was funny because I was trying to use that as a pathway into getting Olaf Melberg, because they're still big mates from the Scandinavian connection. And I text Martin Larsson a couple of times after the event saying, "Oh, thanks for coming on. It was brilliant. Had really good, received really well by the fans. Do you reckon you could have a word with your mate Olaf?" I think at the third text, I've spaced them apart like a couple of weeks. Third text, he was like, And I can only read it as a text message. It wasn't a voice note. He said, he doesn't want to do it.
Martin probably said to me, do it on Skype, mate.
Sounded
I
Welsh,
won't go anywhere near it. What was Gabby like? So it was before his media time and the way the world was. But Gabby's career on a podcast, that was still like quite a scoop for the time.
Because obviously he's from Erdington, not far from me. But the best thing was he refused to speak to Matt Kendrick.
Yes, of course, yeah.
I was like, Matt wanted to come on with me. It'd be great for two of us to chat to you. He said, I'm not having Matt. I'll speak to you, Ash, but not Matt.
I'd actually genuinely forgot. I didn't tee it up for that. I'd totally forgot.
No.
That was a condition of the interview.
That was the condition, yeah.
I'll only do it with Ash.
I'm all for it. I'm surprised that other people are. I'm surprised you haven't said that by now. I'll only do it with John Townley. I'm not coming on if that Muppet's on. Or that sausage, as Gabby called me once on social media. I'm not doing it with that sausage.
Good times.
Yeah, good times. Yeah, it's good.
I think without getting too deep into it, that's the kind of essence of what we've always been about. You know, I know that when Ash and John bring a little bit more authority and, a proper kind of sense of where Villa are at to it. But I think I'm probably doing you a disservice here, but me and you just kind of turn up and have a little bit of a laugh. And I think, without getting too serious into it, I think people needed that. They weren't allowed to go out with their mates and stuff like that. I'm not saying that we were, they hung on till their Friday night pub quiz with us to get them through the week. But I do think it provided that little bit of a service. Yeah. These guys can come in and they could chat as if we're down the pub with our mates, kind of thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's talk football then. While we've got Ash in, as you were the reporter who was following Villa still at the time. Before we get into the specifics of the Project Restart and some of the games, just talk us through the process. We spent the last 3 months messing around, basically, and then you've got to go and do some actual work covering Villa at home to Sheffield United. What happens to get you into that stadium and the things you have to go through?
So it came from the clubs, really. Obviously, Project Restart was billed as, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So obviously, you'd get your checks. You have a COVID test before every game to make sure you're okay. Socially distanced, you had to do that. You had to follow all the arrows around Villa Park and all this, and go to the ticket office to get your accreditation. You had to stand apart. You had to do a temperature check on the way in, and I had to speak to Lee Preece at the time behind the glass. How are you, Lee? Yeah, here's your pass. You had to walk through the Trinity Road, and you just walk through, and then you'd sit in the Trinity as you would now. But obviously, you'd be out through the concourse, and then you're there for the match. Did they give you food? They don't give you food, did they? As soon as the game finishes, you got a Zoom link. There's your post-match, and off you go. That's basically it, really.
We'll talk about some of the press conference bits in a sec. What do you remember about Ian Nealon's brilliant save?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think the monitors worked then either. Just amazing, really, how they didn't give that. A lot of confusion in the press bench at the time, but to get away with that one was pretty insane. But as pretty insane time to be reporting on Villa at the time. So the way it went for us was great, obviously. But yeah, just one of them freak incidents. Did that really happen?
How far away are you actually in the press box? Or you just sat in a seat in the Trinity?
They expanded it, didn't they? I'm sure there's pictures of you
press
in
box.
normal seats.
They give you a desk, but so I was in the Trinity.
Did they put extra desks in?
Yeah, but you were so spaced out between. Yeah. You couldn't chat to another journalist. Really, it's quite strict.
So do you have to go talk to Matt Mayer or whatever? Matt, did that cross the line?
Yeah, what's going on there? So yeah, we didn't really know what was going on. So yeah, it was a hard time to be reporting on Villa as well. Obviously, you had the privilege of having the replays at home, and you can see a lot more than us, despite us being there. The only good thing about it was you could hear all the players, especially Tyrone Mings. You can hear Mings from a mile away. All the instructions, which is pretty cool. Dean Smith, he used to have a little vantage point. He didn't like.
Yeah, he stood up and didn't.
He stood up.
Bit, yeah.
JT and Shaky, God bless him. They used to stand. I'd say where probably the lower Trinity meets the middle bit.
Yeah,
they stand above there for a vantage point.
That's interesting, isn't it? That they would have taken advantage of. Well, there's no one here, so we don't have to stand on the touchline. We'll go and watch a little bit higher up.
And you could watch them really, because obviously, if you report on Villa now, all the fans are in the way, and you struggle to see unless you're right behind Emery. But you could see them all talking and getting the players up, and they had a bit of a insider kind of knowledge to it all, and you could the shouting was good as well.
Was it just like the novelty thing of being back at the football?
I think so as well. Being in such a privileged position I'm going to the football, and the thousands, the millions aren't. It's pretty incredible. Looking back at it now, I was so privileged to be able to do that and to be one of, I'd say, a few dozen to be there for the 7-2 as well.
Yeah.
I was there for the 7-2. Not many people can say that, which was
That'll be a quiz
amazing.
question one of the days, won't it? Not on our podcast, but on another, like, this freak result. What was the attendance? Expecting you to be like 42,000 or something. It's like, actually, it was 100 or whatever.
Yeah.
Did not that 7-2, which I'm sure we'll revisit in a bit, but did it feel like a testimonial? Did it feel like a reserve game?
Did you? Yeah.
Even when there was like jeopardy on it, even when towards the end of that season where you thought we like playing for our lives.
It did really, yeah. It felt like a friendly feel to the games. I know there was a lot on the line in terms of relegation and stuff like that, but it did feel like a behind closed doors friendly. Two teams going through the motions. A lot happening away from football, and this was just a bit of a get together, have a game of footy, and that's how it felt really. It wasn't really life and death as it is now with the stuff, but it was a friendly feel to it. You could hear the players echoing around the stadium. Yeah, funny time.
The games, I will get to it in a bit of Villa staying. I was dangerously close to going down, obviously, and the following season for me is a complete blur. But I remember like looking at all the players' haircuts, having their hair done for, normally they look identical every single week. They've all got the skin fades and whatever else. And they've got long hair out of nowhere, and the like the piped in crowd noise. That was weird, wasn't it?
If the game's good enough and compelling enough, you don't mind the crowd noise. It's almost like, when you get those sitcoms that are filmed in front of like a live studio audience or whatever, and it's clearly canned laughter.
Yeah.
I think there's still some great sitcoms. I don't know where I'm going with this. I still think there's some great sitcoms that have got that canned laughter, but because the sitcom's so good, you don't mind the canned laughter. So I think it was probably those games where there was not much happening, there wasn't much on it. You thought, why? Where's that noise coming from?
Yeah, it's just
is that Ash Preece starting that chant in the Trinity?
That start to Project Restart, I've got the fixtures in front of me. 0-0 with Sheffield United, 2-1 defeat to Chelsea, 1-1 with Newcastle, and then 3 defeats on the bounce, Wolves, Liverpool and Man United. At what point did you think, well, now we are actually going down here?
Yeah, staring down the barrel, really. They really had to... They was conceding far too many chances and, teams just sailing through us. It really needed a total rethink, really. And I think they had a bit of a get-together. I think it was Dean Smith, obviously, at the time. He was just too gung-ho and too stuck in his ways. He was very, very stubborn. Quite stubborn in his ways, really. And then I think he got JT a bit more involved and they changed the way they were playing, a bit more defensive-minded. And it just, that just flicked a switch with them, really. And they got a bit of momentum, getting the odd result here and there. And luckily we survived. So, it did look bleak at the time. I did fear for them.
Yeah, the final 4 games, beating Palace, a draw to Everton, beating Arsenal, which was probably the one, and then the draw to West Ham on the final day. The run that came before it, though, I think when we lost to Man United, and that was the one, I'm sure it was the one anyway, the penalty on Konsa, I was like, we're done here. Like, we all hoped that we'd use that break to reset a little bit and maybe come back and nick a couple of results. They're difficult fixtures, obviously, but we were so poor before the lockdown that, well, after it, maybe we would have regrouped a little bit, and by the end we had. But to come out and not win for the first, 6 games, I thought we were done then. And it kind of gets lost a little bit because Villa have been so good since that it could have all been very, very different had we actually gone down that summer.
I remember, like, from a work point of view, we were having to. There was no matches to cover, so we were doing like the 10 players that came through your academy and the 10 Villa hard men that you forgot about.
I don't think we did either of those, so put them on the list for later.
Yeah, we'll do them again. We can bring them back out. But it was like, I seem to recall being fascinated with Dean Smith's management, and I suppose all successful managers to an extent want that kind of team spirit and that siege mentality and getting people together. He'd got, so how long did we go without football? A couple of months?
3 months.
3 months.
So 3 months. I remember, you see stuff on the Villa website and stuff that you'd almost have to have like kind of one-to-one appraisals done by video calls, and you'd have to give people their exercise plans and trust that they'd do them, which is fine. You can keep people ticking over like that and keep them in decent physical shape, but you can't get that camaraderie if you're all... So I think that set them back in a way, because they'd come up... Any team that comes up, even a team that's had to make 13, 15 signings and rebuild the team, relies on that kind of siege mentality and that togetherness. That was a big part of what they're about. And listen, even when they were together, it clearly didn't work that well because we're in the bottom 3. But I think that having to try and rebuild that. And every manager's going to have to go through that during COVID times. But I think that's what set Villa back. That's why we didn't come straight back and hit the ground running, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? You can only do so much when you're not with them, but when you do come back with them, you're kind of almost starting from scratch. But I mean, we were hoping for better than what we saw initially. The Palace win and then the Everton draw. Even at the Everton draw, I remember I was going to say there's a famous picture then. It isn't for us. I mean, we were doing live podcast by at that point. I think our first one might have been Everton, and there's a shot of us both with like our head in our hands after Everton.
El Ghazi. I've got no words. It's not great for a live podcast for the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but that's it, isn't it? I think.
I'm sulking, so I'm not talking to you.
Yeah. Oh, can you believe it?
Oh my goodness, mate!
Can you believe it? Let's just
What a club.
bask in the glory of 17th place and admire that league table for a few seconds.
Oh wow! Look at
Look at it.
It's funny, isn't it? And obviously, El Ghazi got a really good reception. Milked it, to be fair, when he came back with Cardiff. But it's important, and it's important that we remember that the players on the journey, because like you said, it would have been a very, very different narrative if we'd have got relegated that year.
Yeah, of course, yeah. West Ham away, you'd have been there for that one. One of the lucky few.
Remember that like it was yesterday.
Talk me through the feelings that day. Did that feel more like this is something on this year?
Yeah. I remember. I don't know why I said, hold on to your hats. I don't know why I said that. I'm on the little.
Oh, you used to do little videos, didn't you?
Previews, yeah, because I had my mask on, talking through my mask. Hold on to your hats, and here we go. And hopefully it's straightforward, but it never is it? I think it was all over us at the time, but then obviously Grealish scored.
Yeah.
A bit of relief there. And then Yarmolenko obviously scored pretty much straight after, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was deflected off Jack, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah.
And you think, and then they're all huddled around in the pitch. And I remember seeing Neil Cutler, and they're all around the phone waiting. And then obviously they went up there.
Is that how you found out as well? By watching them, or did you?
Yeah, to be fair, yeah, real time.
Twitter?
Yeah, I was watching them as well. Yeah, they're finding out at the same time as us. We're really West Ham's the same anyway now. The journeys are really high. You're so far away from the pitch. Might as well be in your front room at the time. You're so far away. But just watching the scenes and them unfolding and being privileged again to be there with them, sharing that moment, was amazing. And the effort. Yeah, I remember doing a little walk and talk after the game around the ground, and great times. And I think they went back to the Belfry after had a bit of a knees up and deserved, and to do it was amazing, considering how bleak it was for them. Great stuff. And Trezeguet going on the floor, and Grealish celebrating with Smith and McGinn, and it's a proper team effort. Everyone was in on it, and to survive, and the scenes there were great. Yeah. Good times that was.
I reckon that's why we're all wearing green, by complete coincidence, because it was that moment. That one. Yeah, we stayed up in like a green kind of Spider-Man kind of superhero kit, wasn't it? That one.
No, I wasn't a fan of that one. That's kind of Project Restart done, I think. We'll come back to the press conference stuff in a sec. The following season, the obvious standout is Liverpool 7-2.
Yeah.
One of the first 3 or 4 games of the season. Villa in the Kazoo title race with Everton, if you remember. I think, did we win all 4 of the first 4
beat
games?
Fulham away.
Fulham, Sheffield United, Liverpool, obviously, and one other. I can't remember now.
That Kazoo, the A looks like a card, doesn't it? It's got the wing mirrors on, hasn't it?
I wish you'd mentioned that at the time. The Liverpool game is pretty much the only thing from that season that I really remember with any detail. That season was a complete blur to me. Who did we play on Boxing Day that year? Like famous fixture Boxing Day, isn't it? Something you look forward to.
I suppose you want to associate it with like the Ross Barkley moments, so Arsenal away as well.
Leicester away.
Watkins scored in a couple at Arsenal.
That's a great night, yeah. Playing really
again, I'll remember stuff as we start talking about it, but that season really, 2020 to 2021, is such a blur.
I think I never associate Aston Villa as a television sport. I don't go so certainly Aston Villa at Villa Park anyway. I don't go away many games, so I just didn't feel as connected. With it, to be honest, because it's something that's unfolding on the telly rather than something I don't feel. You can feel like you've contributed if you haven't been there.
Because we'd have watched every game and done a post-match podcast for every game that season, but. And that probably says more about us than anything. But that season was just nothingness.
Yeah,
to me.
Started really well, didn't we? Obviously, and tired off a little bit. Yeah, I remember that one, and obviously the 10,000 fans coming back in for the Chelsea one at the end of the season, and then like you say, we had a bit of a nothing season really. I'm reporting on it, okay, and the motorways were calling because obviously up and down on your own really, no one there. Mid-table finish was it in the
I
end?
think it was 11th in the end. Was that Grealish's last year?
Would have been, yeah, I think so, yeah.
So the last time that we would have seen Grealish in the flesh was the cup final.
Would it have been? Was it not Tottenham? The Bjorn Engels ball under his feet. Was that not the one that was?
Shout, yeah.
I think it was that
game.
one because that Bjorn Engels, bless him, that lingered in my mind.
That was after the cup final.
For yeah.
It would have played against Leicester, but obviously, I mean, for us, we weren't there for that. So you went on to see Grealish play for Villa.
Oh yeah,
much longer than most Villa fans did.
I remember away at Burnley, he was unplayable. Yeah, I was watching Grealish. Yeah, I remember he was raving about him that season, and that's when he was getting all the hype.
Yeah.
Was England playing them? Was he Southgate? I was hammering Southgate a lot because he wasn't picking him. But yeah, I remember that Grealish sticks out a mile because how good he was. He's in his pomp then.
Do you reckon that suited him, them kind of games as well? Like maybe less pressure.
Up against it as well, yeah. He had a good link. He had a good connection with Barkley, Watkins. But he had a decent side going forward at that time, and yeah, I mean, obviously the first season he was getting used to the Premier League again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the main man here. I'm getting a bit targeted, but then I think he just steps up another level then, and I remember being blown away by him throughout that season. Hence my breakdown when he left, basically.
I think, again, it's not something I've thought about since then. In retrospect now, I think that might have done him a little bit in terms of reputation. He never really had that chance to say goodbye to the crowd.
Potentially, yeah.
Maybe you could say, well, he could have done in that Chelsea game, but I don't think he had his farewell. So the next time that Villa fans encountered him again was when he came back as an opposition player. And you do give an opposition player a bit of stick, especially one that you think could hurt you. So I just wonder, listen, I'm not saying, I've seen opposition players I've seen Villa players leave, and Gareth Barry's come and got stick, and Dwight York's come back and got stick. So I'm not saying that would have completely insulated him from it, but I just think all of a sudden Villa fans probably are craving, we haven't seen you,
Yeah.
we want more of you,
Yeah.
And then he's gone. So I think wonder if that's influenced
Potentially, yeah.
what people think of him. I don't know.
Unlocking some of the psychology of the Jack Grealish transfer. Yeah, who knows? Just tell me a little bit more about that Liverpool game.
Yeah.
Could you believe what was going on?
No, I had to rub my eyes, pinch myself. What's going on here? It's very surreal. The goals kept flowing in. Villa didn't play too great. I mean, just every chance going in.
Yeah.
I had a couple of ricochets, but they're carving through Liverpool like there's no tomorrow. And
Good Liverpool team
good
as well.
Liverpool team as well. And they had Adrian in goal. But other than that, Van Dijk, Salah, they're all playing.
Yeah.
And to rip them up the way they did, and for me to be there, will live long in the memory. Yeah, Watkins hat trick.
Liverpool were champions, weren't they? They won the back end of the previous season. Yeah.
Yeah. Question marks over Watkins. Can he step up? Sure did. And yeah,
Were his
Grealish.
first goals for us?
I think there were. Yeah.
I think he scored against Burton, was it, in the cup?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I think his first league goals were the hat trick. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously Barkley playing, linking up well with Grealish. And amazing game to be at. One I'll never forget. And yeah, you had to say, is this happening? Basically, given how strong Liverpool were.
Is that the one that you think, if he could rewrite history and I could be at it, either in like Ash's role of one of 100, or obviously look, we'd all love to be in there in a 42,000 sellout, but is that the game you'd pick to be at if you could?
I think so. It's one that will go down in kind of folklore, that the reigning champions come to your backyard and you smash them 7-2. You mentioned it briefly there, Ash, but it just still doesn't amuse me. So many times where you just wish that luck had gone your way, you got the bounce of the ball. So many of those goals were just like massive deflections.
Yeah.
Most, when you see kind of you see clips on social media of goalkeepers training now, and they put like little kind of nets or little obstacles in front of them so the ball bounces in a different way. It was just it was meant to be, and it was so funny because did Spurs batter Tottenham that day?
Spurs batter Tottenham.
I think Spurs battered Tottenham. Spurs battered Man United that day.
Yeah.
That was a quiz question in the Christmas special.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, right. There you go then.
You set them?
Did I? I've been to bed since then. And it was like, I remember all the kind of Liverpool fans just kind of gloating about that, like Man United in turmoil and stuff like that. And then we go and stick 7 past them. But I think it's a perfect hat-trick as well, wasn't it?
I think it was.
That was a quiz question as well, I think. Was it?
There was definitely a header in there. I'm sure one was a left as well.
hat-trick,
Yeah, what a start. So the summer of 2021 after Project Restart was the year that we signed Martinez, Watkins, Cash, potentially one other as well.
Bertrand
Traore, yeah, good shout. We had to watch those players, these new signings that you're excited to watch and excited to see. You know, you do it with Rashford and Asensio. Now you can't wait to get there and see them. We couldn't for the entirety of that season. Did that have any impact on you being in there, that you were watching these new signings and trying to kind of get to know them almost, whereas other fans couldn't do that?
Yeah, getting to know the relationships, how they link up with other players, and obviously Martinez saved a penalty on his debut.
Yeah.
Question marks over him because obviously he wasn't fancied at Arsenal. He's going to be Villa's number one. Is he all that? And you soon see he sure was. So yeah. I mean, you're watching these live every week, new players, which is very exciting. And you're at home watching them. You don't absorb them as much as we do. So yeah, I mean, and yeah, for them to Watkins get a hat trick so early on, it was a good summer really, because the players are there now, aren't they?
Yeah,
mainstays.
Yeah.
Great bit of recruitment that summer was.
It's strange for them as well. I'd have thought.
Yeah.
Like to have had a whole season at Villa Park and all the various stadiums be empty, then the following season, it's totally different, isn't it? You said about the atmosphere and stuff, how much of an impact that has. To kind of play for Villa in almost two totally different ways must be unusual for the players as well, because they don't get to build that affinity with the supporters either. Yeah,
you do wonder, again, the psychology of it. You wonder, what was I watching the other day? I might have been watching somebody interviewed on the One Show or on Graham Norton or something. And there was I don't even know, I can't remember who the actress was, but she was saying that she did theatre once and she hated it. She didn't like it whatsoever. But she's like a movie star or a TV star now, and that's her thing. And it must be a bit like that kind of thing, hasn't it? Or am I a live performer?
Yeah.
In front of, do I respond to a crowd, or do I
buckle?
Am I more, I don't know, more kind of mechanical, I suppose, and then I can just perform.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little bit like that. The thing I was going to ask was, you said, there's X amount of journalists in the stadium and there's X amount of backroom staff and stuff. Did you see much? Was Sir Iris or Edens there? Was he? I suppose Johan Lange was the football director, if you like then. Purslow, were they knocking around much, or?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, Purslow especially. Yeah, you heard him now and again. Just above the management team. Yeah, Langer was there. The backroom.
What was he shouting? Like, get him off, and
just cheering and stuff. And we weren't getting involved that way. He was just like, if Villa scored, you know, Purslow was shouting about it.
Come on, boys. Well in, lads.
That was all there. Yeah. The hierarchy as they know. The owners not so much, obviously, but Langer and Purslow were in the thick of it. Yeah.
I'd never even thought about that. The one thing that I have remembered from that season, Matty Target, Player of the Year.
No, was it?
Yeah. Because from you then saying about players who play well behind closed doors, that became a thing, didn't it?
It's a good quiz question.
He wasn't very good.
I don't think
he wasn't very good. I mean, I might be totally wrong, but I'm sure that is correct. That the following season he was naff, and it was kind of like, well, we can only do it because there's no pressure of the crowd there.
Yeah, just remember, got an image of Matty Target being sick on the pitch. So.
Yeah,
but
that as well. Yeah.
Player of the season. Wow.
I'm sure that's correct.
I think it is. But I think he played better without a crowd. Obviously,
he had that link up with Grealish, didn't he, on that side?
Yeah, especially that season how well Grealish played.
Yeah. Fast forward to the end of that season, the game when fans came back in. Did you say it was 10,000?
10,000 were allowed.
And that was, I didn't go to that. Did you?
No, I didn't. My nephew went. I was a bit put out. I think only selected people.
Right, okay. I don't really remember anything about the process of how you get to that, but that was like sitting a couple of seats apart, wasn't it? When you're sitting on for the other grounds as well, in like, there's actual crowd noise and celebration for goals and match of the day or whatever. Just see everyone like dotted around in like even spaces. Even that it wasn't normal, was it?
No.
It was getting there, but still not quite right.
Yeah, it was getting there. It was a bit different. It was exciting at the time. 10,000 fans. Fans are back at Villa Park. Wow, it was the last game of the season. I think we were already safe by then. Obviously, mid-table finish. Nothing really on the game. Just a nice little treat for the fans.
We lose 3-0 or something. Or
I think we won.
We either won, lose, or the one lost or drew.
I got a feeling we won 2-1.
Did we?
I think Bertrand Traore scored. Final piece to end. I think Ash. press conferences.
Oh, wow.
A staple of the work that you would have done, going to see Dean Smith every week in the
Yeah.
build up to games and stuff. The way that was done, do you want to explain for maybe people who either don't know or have forgotten what was the process? Why was it different?
It was Zoom, and the Villa Comms guys would give you a link a few days before. So you'd all go on Zoom at a certain time, and it was strictly 2 questions each. So team news, and then my questions are gone basically. But Zoom. So you had Dean Smith just appear on your laptop screen in your house.
You did that from home.
Do that from home. Yes, got Dean Smith in my lounge basically. Hi Dean. You're right. Next, I had one question left then, but that's how strict it was. So all the journalists had 2 questions each, and if you
don't throw one away by asking him how he is.
I know.
Good weekend. No, leave it.
I know. That's how it was, and otherwise you get muted, and I'll be talking to myself then basically. So for strange times, all jumping on a Zoom call. Yeah, and the manager was there for you. But it's strange for us. Obviously, they'd broadcast first,
Yeah.
and then they'd put all the online and the newspaper journals in after. So a lot of the time, the same questions getting asked. But it can be quite. And I got telling off from Dean once or twice, just over some headlines and some in-house interviews.
Did you say that was Matt Kendrick's fault?
I was saying that's Matt Kendrick, and then I got muted, obviously. So wouldn't let me speak. But
Did you actually?
yeah, I think I got muted. Yeah, I always got muted. I did. I don't know why. But yeah, it was funny.
Again, I mean, just as a way that the world was different.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you were doing that in the room with him,
Exactly,
can't
yeah.
mute you then, can they?
They can't now. So and obviously dodgy connections, and you're in a panic. Especially after games as well. You got to get you. That's Matt or Steve saying we need your post-match stuff quick, and then you're connecting, and it was I think Dean Smith would have done his downstairs by in the mix zone at Villa Park. We'd be upstairs. Daft really now you think about it.
I know, yeah. Even if you were just at the other end of a big room, it would have been
or even
makes
like
more sense.
2 meters was it?
Yeah,
Couldn't have done that really. But it was all over Zoom, and like your connection was always dodgy at Villa Park. I think it still is now. It was one of the worst ones as a reporter. I remember that. And sometimes you sound like you're in a fishbowl, and you're not getting your questions out as you would, because it's not natural, is it really? Not talking.
If that was now, you'd probably be more used to it because we've done so much of that kind of thing over the last 5 years. But when that's the first, really the first times that you're speaking to somebody and they can't see you or can't see you very well, or you can't hear them properly, it's just weird, isn't it? It's not normal to speak to somebody like that. I was going to ask whether there was ever any times where it was to your benefit that you felt like you could ask something a bit more with a bit more need, or kind of like, well, I'm not in the room, so what are they going to do?
I wasn't like that, Dan. I'm a nice guy. I wasn't really.
I won't be like that. I'll be like, I was going to say something a bit edgy today because I'm not even in the room, so who cares? No,
it's just the connection problems really, and that's about it really. Obviously the old Jurgen Klopp stuff as well. The post match there, that was comedy.
Would that have been in that second season? So after Project Restart and the season we finished 11th, would that have been the away game?
Yeah, the away game. I'm trying to think now.
7-2, was it?
No. It's Anfield. This was. I still defend myself to this day. Like, I've got Klopp in front of me. No one asking me a question. I felt sorry for Klopp. I thought Jurgen. So I'll go first then. Jurgen. Didn't really prep a question. What do you think of Villa today?
Were the Liverpool journos in that same call?
Yeah, everyone was there.
And it was just open. Who wants to go
like
first?
No one said really awkward silence for a bit. I'm like,
that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Liverpool goal should have gone first.
Yeah, as you'd expect. And hence why I tried to explain myself, as in like, sorry, I'm the opposition reporter. He goes, what are you on about?
He didn't, did he? He didn't say it like that. He said, sorry, what?
Yeah.
Okay, Ashley Preece first with the first question, then Carl Markham.
Hi, Jurgen, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Jurgen. Just your thoughts on how Villa lined up today, how Villa played. I'm the opposition reporter. Just your take on Villa today for me, please.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, I'm blaming the Liverpool journals.
Yeah, I agree with you there. They should have stepped in. You love that, don't you? That Klopp clip.
I don't think either of you come out of it too badly, to be honest, because I think you're just doing your job in an honest kind of way.
Yeah.
I think it must have been like quite a challenge. I mean, I don't think I'd have done this, but I remember going to some like work Zoom calls while it was still a novelty, and like rocking up wearing a sombrero. You remember that one with that solicitor where she got like a cat filter on, and it was like a law trial or something that was happening. Must have been great, don't think I'd have done it, but that little bit of mischief. So, can I put a filter on here? Can I put like a Hercules, the
You
lion?
can do what you want, can't you?
Lion filter on.
Just one thing to kind of wrap this up. Just you coming in today, Ash. Obviously, we worked with you for me, it was again the way we worked. I worked with you in person for like 3 months, and then only ever seen you on a webcam after that.
Yeah.
But just like the things that Ash was good at, and we've spoken about this before, like kind of good people person, speaking to people and just going and doing a bit of digging and asking the right questions and being a friendly face and stuff. Getting you in here today, I've been in here with some of the people in here. I don't really know hardly any of them. You'll know them better than me because you work with them. I'll walk past people and be like, all right, yeah, you, yeah, sound. Get in here, do my work and go again. Come in with Ash before and he's, you doing as the kids? Just back to that, like, and that's like who Ash is. So
High-fiving and guards of honour and stuff like that.
Yeah, but just like, really personable, nice guy kind of thing. I don't want to blow too much smoke here, but that's how you are. But we weren't allowed to be like that back then, so that must have been difficult to like not. You just saying you're quite happy to be at home, whereas I imagine that was probably difficult for you with the way that you are.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very lonely job at the time.
Yeah.
Like you say, you're in the car on your own. You're going to games on your own. You're coming home on your own. And you didn't get to speak to people. If you did, it was over Zoom. No good, really. And it sapped a bit of the enjoyment out of the role. It really did. Not speaking to fans or anything like that. Just online and over Twitter and interacting that way. And even speaking to, I remember getting the cameras, speaking to yourself in the car afterwards and stuff like that, doing the talking head stuff for you. It was horrible, really. And not a great time. Like I say, very lonely job at the time. You go into the game, you're coming home, and that's it, really. And I'll jump on with you for a pod now and again. But it's been nice to be back to see you, lads. And
Good to have you.
Like I haven't been away, really.
Did you think in that season, though, and during lockdown, did you think, like, I know the games are on telly, so you're not the only witness, but did you feel like a responsibility that you were kind of chronicling history in a way?
God, I feel like I had the fans' weight expectation on my shoulders. Make sure I'm asking the right question because I'm there. So I did feel the weight of the Villa faithful on me, really, especially during that time. So I was their representative. I could ask the fan questions. I was in that position to do so, and I just remember being so uptight and so. Whereas now I've come back in, I'm relaxed a little bit more, and if I had the job again, I'd be so much more chilled out and relaxed. Not everything's life and death kind of thing. But I felt the responsibility of the fan base to be A, good at my job, B, ask the right questions, and C, just try and give them the snippets behind the scenes. Be their eyes and ears. So I did feel a bit of a weighted expectation, and hope I did all right. Yeah.
Thank you very much for watching or listening to this episode of the Claret Blue podcast. Something a little bit different. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It's probably the wrong word, but some good memories of a bad time. Get involved in the comments section if you enjoyed it. Say hi to Ash. I'm sure he'll appreciate that as well. And we'll be back hopefully within a couple of days with something else. I don't know what, because we're pre-recording this so far in advance. Who knows what's going on?
Yeah, and there's probably a Chris Heck COVID 5th year anniversary shirt coming to a superstore near you. So.
If you're watching, Chris, cheers, mate.